Hi guys! So recently I've been obsessed with the entire ink and paint collection that's come out at Disney parks and on Shop Disney of all sorts of kitchenwares, apparel, anything that you want. You name it, they got it. It just features a lot of the Disney characters in like sketch versions or watercolors, and it's just, great to see everyone's favorite characters all over in like prints to include everyone. So with this, I was inspired to make a very artsy kind of beret. So I went with a little paint palette, Mickey-inspired theme in order to have a fun accessory to wear to Disney parks. Everything you need to make this is pretty cheap and pretty simple. I ordered the beret on Amazon, and everything else that I had was just felt, which you can get really cheap at any sort of craft store in whatever colors that you want. And then I used a little bit of thread, hot glue to throw it all together. So let's get started. So the first step is creating the paint palette itself. I made mine out of a nice felt that was in a tan color, and I just drafted what I thought the shape would be for this. Cut that piece out so I knew what I was working with. We're going to place this on top of the beret in order to find the center so we can make sure that we include a hole for that. The next step is cutting all your little Mickey Mouse heads or paint splotches out of your felt. I used 7 colors in mine, but you can use however many you want to include. I just freehanded my Mickey Mouses while cutting them. I didn't trace them out or anything before. I'm sure that you could come up with a stencil in order to make them more precise, but I was fine with them just being kind of eyeballed to the same size. Cut out every single one of your Mickeys and set those aside. Next, we're going to place our paint splotches on top of the paint palette. I made sure to space them out first just so I knew where I would be wanting them, and I left them there. To connect these to the paint palette, I used a little bit of hot glue. I dabbed on each one of the ears in the centerpiece just for a little bit of security and placed it on top of the palette. I continued this for each paint splotch. For a little more security on the paint splotches, I wanted to sew just a little bit of stitches around the edges to make sure it stayed connected. After sewing on all of the paint splotches, the last step is to connect your paint palette to the beret. I stitched mine around. You could hot glue it, but I just wanted to make sure that I had more flexibility in it in order to make it not so stiff. It's a little tricky to keep your beret upright during this, but just make sure that you're flattening it out after every stitch or so, just so that it lays flat when it's completed. The last step was sewing up that thumb hole, checking it all out, and it looked good to go. And let's see how it looks in action. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think and if you make something of your own. See you next time!